Hi, I'm Tina, and this is the Sisterhood Sleuths podcast, created by Cathy Warshaw of Secret Societies and the Sisterhood Sleuths. Here, we don't just accept what we're told, we question it, because secrets are everywhere, and curiosity is the key. So let me ask you something. Have you ever had a moment where something felt off, but you couldn't explain why? Not loud, not obvious, just quiet. Like a whisper in the back of your mind saying, something doesn't feel right. Most people ignore that feeling. They scroll past it, they laugh it off, they tell themselves they're overthinking. But what if that feeling is the most important clue you'll ever get? And what if the reason you ignore it is because you've been taught to? Let me tell you a story. Not one you'll find in a history book, not one that comes with a neat ending. This is the kind of story that starts small and then slowly begins to change everything. When I was younger, there were moments I couldn't explain. Moments where I would look at something everyone else accepted and feel like I was standing outside of it. Like I was seeing a different version of the same world. People would say, this is just the way things are. And I would think, but what if they're not? I didn't always say it out loud, because when you question things, people get uncomfortable. They don't want you to ask too many questions. They don't want you to look too closely. Because if you do, you might see something they've chosen not to. That feeling, that quiet curiosity, that is where every mystery begins. If Chloe and Lily were here right now, they wouldn't ignore it. They never do. They would pause, look at each other, and Chloe would say something like, okay, what are we missing? And Lily, who always notices the small details, would already be scanning the room. Not for what's obvious, but for what doesn't belong. Because that's the difference. Most people look at what's there. Sleuths look at what shouldn't be. Now imagine this. You're walking into a place that you've been many times before. A school hallway, a coffee shop, your own neighborhood. Everything looks the same, but something feels different. You can't quite explain it. You just feel it. That's where most people stop. But not you. Not anymore. Because here's the truth no one teaches you. The world isn't just what you see. It's also what you miss. And sometimes, what you miss is exactly what someone wants you to miss. There's a reason secrets exist. They don't just appear. They're created, protected, hidden. And sometimes, they're hidden in plain sight. Think about that. Hidden in plain sight. Right in front of you, and still unseen. That's not an accident. That's design. Let's go deeper. Have you ever trusted something just because everyone else did? A person, a story, an idea. You didn't question it, not because you were wrong, but because it felt easier to believe, safer, more comfortable. Now imagine this. What if that trust was misplaced? What if the story you were told was only part of the truth? Or worse, what if it wasn't the truth at all? That's the moment everything changes. Not when you find the answer, but when you realize you need to start asking better questions. In The Obsidian Eye, the first clue didn't come with flashing lights. It came quietly. A detail that didn't fit. A feeling that something was being hidden. Chloe didn't ignore it. She followed it, even when it didn't make sense yet. even when it made things harder. Because that's what real discovery looks like. It's uncomfortable. It's uncertain. And sometimes it makes you question everything you thought you knew. But here's what most people don't realize. That's not a weakness. That's power. The moment you start questioning things, you stop being controlled by them. Let's pause for a second. I want you to think about something in your life right now. Something small. Something you've never really questioned. It could be anything. A habit, a belief, a situation. Now ask yourself, why do I believe this is true? Not what. Why? That question alone changes everything. Because once you start asking why, you begin to see patterns, connections, things that were always there, but never noticed. That's how sleuths think. They don't accept things at face value. They look deeper. They ask, who benefits from this? What's missing? What doesn't make sense? And most importantly, what am I not being told? Now, here's where it gets interesting, because once you start seeing things differently, you can't unsee them. It's like opening a door you didn't even know existed. At first, it's exciting. Then, it's overwhelming. Because suddenly, there's more. More layers, more questions, more truth, and more mystery. And that's where most people stop. They close the door, they go back to what feels safe. But not you. Not anymore. Because if you've made it this far, you're already different. You're already asking the question most people avoid. What if I've been lied to? That question isn't dangerous. Ignoring it is. In the Sisterhood Sleuths world, this is the moment everything begins. The moment before the first real clue. The moment when nothing has been confirmed yet. But everything is about to change. And here's the truth. Every mystery you will ever face starts exactly like this. Not with answers, but with a feeling. A feeling that something doesn't add up. So the question is, what are you going to do with that feeling? Because Chloe would follow it. Lily would analyze it. Gil would question the strategy behind it. Yuki would look for what systems were hiding it. May would ask what's happening beneath the surface. Aoife would search for patterns no one else can see. And Luca, he would already be trying to break into whatever is being protected. And you? You're standing at the same starting point they always do. Right at the edge of a question that could change everything. This is where your story begins. In this next part, we're going deeper into why people miss the clues, even when they're right in front of them, and how the smartest people in the world get fooled every single day. Because the truth isn't always hidden. Sometimes it's just ignored. Stay with me. The next part is where things start to shift. Let's pick up right where you are. That feeling. That quiet moment where something doesn't make sense. Most people think missing clues means they weren't paying attention. That's not true at all. People miss clues because they've been trained to. Let me explain. From the time you're young, you're taught to trust what you're told. Teachers, adults, systems, rules, and most of the time, that's a good thing. It keeps things organized, predictable, safe. But there's a hidden side to that. Because when you're taught to trust everything, you stop questioning anything. And that's where things start to break. Imagine Chloe walking into a room. She doesn't assume anything is true just because someone said it is. She observes. She listens. She notices what people say and what they avoid saying. Now imagine someone else walking into that same room. They hear the same words, see the same people, but they accept everything at face value. No questions, no hesitations, same room. Two completely different realities. That's how clues get missed. Not because they're invisible, but because people aren't looking for them. Here's something even more important. Sometimes clues aren't hidden at all. Sometimes they're right in front of you, but your brain filters them out. Your brain is designed to keep things simple. It looks for patterns it already knows. It ignores things that don't fit, because stopping to question everything would slow you down. And your brain doesn't like slow. It likes easy, fast, familiar. So when something doesn't fit, your brain often says, ignore it. But sleuths don't ignore it. They stop. They lean into it. They ask, why doesn't this fit? Let's make this real. Have you ever had a moment where someone said something and it sounded right, but something about it felt off? Not wrong enough to argue, not obvious enough to call out, just off. Most people let that go. They move on. They don't want to create tension. They don't want to be the one who questions everything. But that moment, that's a clue. In the Swiss Enigma, nothing was obvious at first. The system looked perfect, structured, secure, untouchable. But underneath, there were small inconsistencies. Things that didn't quite add up. Not enough to alarm everyone, but enough for someone paying attention. That's the difference again. Not intelligence, not luck, awareness. Gil wouldn't walk into a situation and just accept the surface. His training taught him something most people never learn. People don't always say what they mean. And systems don't always do what they claim. So he looks deeper, at behavior, at patterns, at what's being protected. Because here's a truth most people don't realize. If something is being protected, there's a reason. And not all protection is about safety. Sometimes it's about control. Now think about this. Why do people lie? It's not always for big reasons. Sometimes it's small, to avoid trouble, to look better, to keep things simple. But other times, it's bigger, much bigger. To hide something, to shift attention, to control what others believe. And the more people believe something, the harder it becomes to question it. That's where the smartest people get fooled. Not because they're smart, but because they trust the system too much. They assume if everyone believes this, it must be true. But history, real history, not the cleaned up version, has shown something very different. Groups of people can believe something completely wrong for a long time, without questioning it. That's not a mistake. That's human nature. Which means if you want to see what others miss, you have to do something uncomfortable. You have to step outside of what everyone else accepts. That doesn't mean you assume everything is false. It means you stay curious, you stay open, you stay aware. May would approach this differently. She wouldn't just look at behavior. She'd look beneath it, at systems, at biology, at cause and effect. She would ask, what is happening that we can't see yet? Because sometimes the truth isn't visible on the surface. Sometimes it's buried, layered, hidden beneath something designed to distract you. And distractions are powerful. Think about how easy it is to focus on what's allowed, what's dramatic, what grabs attention. Now think about how easy it is to miss what's quiet, subtle, patient. That's where real clues live. Aoife understands this better than anyone. She studies patterns in the earth, things that shift slowly, almost invisible until one day, everything changes. Clues work the same way. They build, piece by piece. Small details that don't seem important at first, until they connect. And when they connect, the truth becomes impossible to ignore. But here's the part no one tells you. Seeing the truth doesn't always make things easier. Sometimes it makes things harder, because now you have to decide what to do with it. Do you ignore it, like everyone else? Or do you follow it, even if it leads somewhere uncomfortable? That's the moment every sleuth faces. And it's not a one-time choice. It happens again and again, in different ways, in different situations. Small choices that lead to bigger ones. And over time, those choices define you. You either become someone who looks deeper or someone who looks away. There's no middle ground. So let me ask you something. Think back to that feeling we talked about, that moment where something didn't make sense. What did you do? Did you follow it? Or did you ignore it? No judgment, just awareness. Because this isn't about the past. It's about what you do next when you finally stop ignoring the clues. When you start seeing patterns others don't. And when you realize you're not just observing the mystery anymore. You're part of it. And that's where things get real. Stay with me, because this final part changes everything. Are you still here? You didn't turn away. That already tells me something about you. You're not like most people. Because most people never get to this point. They turn back whenever things feel uncertain. They choose comfort over curiosity. But you didn't. So now let's move on. What happens when you stop ignoring the clues? At first, nothing dramatic. No music, no sudden answers. Just small shifts. You start noticing things. Conversations that don't quite line up. Details that feel slightly out of place. People reacting in ways that don't match what they're saying. It's subtle, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's when everything begins to change. Because now, you're aware. And awareness is powerful, but it also comes with responsibility. Because once you see something, you have to decide what to do with it. Let's step into this like a real sleuth. Imagine you've discovered something. Not a huge, obvious secret, but something small. Something that doesn't make sense. You have two choices. You can ignore it, tell yourself it's nothing, go back to what's comfortable, or you can follow it. And following it means risk. It means uncertainty. It means stepping into something you don't fully understand yet. That's where most people stop, but not Chloe. Chloe knows something most people don't. The first clue is never the whole story. It's an invitation. An invitation to look deeper. And Lily? She wouldn't just follow the clue. She would break it apart, piece by piece, looking for patterns, connections, anything that links one detail to another. Because one clue alone doesn't mean much, but connected clues, that's where truth begins to form. Now think about Gil. He wouldn't just ask what the clue means. He would ask, who benefits from this? Because behind every hidden truth, there's usually someone who doesn't want it found. And that's where things shift from curiosity to something bigger. Because the moment you start uncovering something real, you're no longer just observing. You're involved. And being involved changes the game. Let's be honest. That can feel scary. Because now it's not just about asking questions. It's about facing answers. And answers aren't always easy. Sometimes they challenge what you believe. Sometimes they reveal things you didn't expect. Sometimes they change how you see people. And that's the hardest part. Because it's one thing to question ideas. It's another to question people. people you trust, people you've known, people you never thought to question. But here's the truth. Being a sleuth isn't about doubting everything. It's about understanding more. It's about seeing clearly, even when it's uncomfortable. Yuki would approach this differently. She would look at systems, technology, structures. She would ask, where are the weak points? Because every system, no matter how strong, has gaps. And those gaps, they're where the truth slips through. Now imagine this moment. You've followed the clues, you've connected the patterns. You're standing in front of something real, something hidden. And now, you have to decide. Do you expose it? Do you protect it? Do you walk away? That decision defines everything. Because truth isn't just something you find. It's something you choose to face. Aoife would remind you of something important. Truth doesn't appear all at once. It builds slowly, like pressure beneath the earth. And when it finally surfaces, it changes everything. That's where you are now, at the edge of something bigger. Not because you were given answers, but because you were willing to ask questions. And that's rare. Very rare. Now let me tell you something. The world is full of noise, distractions, stories, versions of truth. Some are real, some are not. Your job isn't to believe everything. Your job is to observe, to question, to think, and most importantly, to trust that feeling we started with. That quiet voice, that instinct, that moment where something doesn't add up. Because that feeling, that's your advantage. That's what separates you. That's what turns you from someone who just lives in the world to someone who understands it. And once you understand it, you can change it. That's what the Sisterhood Sleuths do. They don't just solve mysteries. They change outcomes. They protect truth. They refuse to look away. And now, so can you. Because this isn't just their story. It's yours too. Every time you notice something others miss, every time you ask one more question, every time you choose curiosity over comfort, you're stepping into that world. You're becoming part of something bigger. So here's where we end. But not really, because this is just the beginning. The next time something feels off, don't ignore it. Pause. Look closer. Ask why. Because the truth is rarely loud. It's quiet. Patient and waiting. And now, you know how to find it. Each week, I'll give you a mission. Today's mission is simple. Notice one moment where something doesn't feel right. Not obvious, not dramatic, just different. When it happens, don't react. Just pause and ask yourself, what exactly was said? What didn't match? Don't explain it away. Don't ignore it. Just notice it. Because at that moment, that's where every mystery begins. Next episode, we'll go deeper with why smart people miss red flags. Until then, this is the Sisterhood Sleuth podcast. Stay curious, stay aware, and remember, secrets are everywhere. Curiosity is the key.